You can find them on Twitter, you can find them on the gram. After listening to their podcast, you'll be sitting there like, damn, taking their teaching from one level to the next, reaching up to Canada and down
First
to
week
Mexico.
it's Legos, and then it's doing it with Play-Doh, and then it's next year it'll be using, we have these 3D design tools that we
Cool.
just recently started playing with, splats. Like, let's now design this, and then so it's definitely changed the way at least our boys are starting to address writing.
Yeah, I think it's important too. Like when I was first, make writing was really early work, and I've learned a lot more since then. Each book that I write, I kind of add more about what I've learned since I wrote the last one. But in that book, I would say, you know, if people liked producing alphabetic text or print, like if they were really print comfortable writers, that I wouldn't push them to make writing, that it was an invitation, right? I said that, I think, over and over again. I totally disagree with that now.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And COVID taught me quite a bit about why I disagree with that. So my daughter
cool.
is 23. Laura, she went to the Rochester Institute of Technology, which is a pretty boffo tech school. Like, it's not an Ivy, but it's close. It's not MIT, but it's close. And she was a design student there and went through their design school. She also has raging ADD, and she was in my writing studio growing up. She hated using any sort of writing, but if I always said to her, bring your camera, you can paint, do whatever you want there, like tell your story in whatever way you want. She got accepted and she didn't declare until her senior year that she was of high school that she was going to art school. So she had no portfolio. She didn't take studio in art. She had none of that. We took her to portfolio days and she got accepted to SU and RIT on the floor, their design schools. And I was like, on what planet? Like, her illustrations were not good, like, at that time. And I, on what planet are you getting accepted into these programs? And I said, do you mind if I just want to chat up the professor, not about you. Like, I'm just wondering how they make these decisions. And the professor said to me, she can curate a story. We can give her the illustration skills, but this kid knows how to make a story using materials other than words. And that is not something we can typically teach by the time they're coming into college. Here's what's really fascinating. So this is my kid who kind of defined as a struggling writer the whole time she was in my studio. She's surrounded by all of these other girls who were called gifted by many people, right? They were in my studio because they loved to write. I never made those girls learn how to use other modes of expression or digital technologies. Nothing. They were publishing novels their senior year of high school. Every single one of them now is between the ages of 23 and 30. All of them who defined as gifted writers are miserable in their careers and they can't get out. And 2 of them want to go into PhD programs and they can't get in because they're not published. And they're not published because they don't know how to take that dissertation and turn it into a podcast or a web post or a blog post or an infographic. They don't have those skills. And so COVID, I'm panicking because Laura signs a lease in Brooklyn the first week of March of last year. Her rent is more than my mortgage. And I'm thinking, you're out of your mind. Like, you're going to lose your job. Nobody's going to, and they did. They cut all of the graphic designers in most businesses. So she lost her job, started her own business, and she's like totally rocking it because everybody's looking for gig employees and freelancers right now. Yeah. They don't want to, and so it's a beautiful thing. Those other kids that were so-called gifted writers, they're all stuck, and they're stuck in teaching positions where they are just drowning this year. And some of them have really bad leaders. And that's kind of on me, because if I would have said, no, you are going to learn how to multimodally compose, you're going to at least try.
Thanks for listening to the
They might have a leg
podcast.
up that they don't know.
Keep up with every new episode by subscribing on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Anchor, or anywhere you listen. Remember to visit teachernerds.com, and that's nerds with a Z. Follow us on Twitter @TeacherNerds and on Instagram @TeacherNerdsPodcast. And thank you for being one of the Teacher Nerds.